The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the blocky landscape of the Minecraft world. Steve stood at the edge of a dense forest, his inventory filled with stacks of obsidian, iron, and a strange new material he had recently discovered, netherite. He had been planning this project for weeks, ever since he stumbled upon an ancient book in a ruined portal. The book spoke of a creature, a being of unimaginable power and terror, known only as the Xenomorph. Steve had decided to bring this creature to life in his world, not as a foe, but as a companion. The first step was to find the perfect location. Steve knew that the Xenomorph was a creature of darkness, born from the depths of alien worlds. He needed a place that mirrored that environment. After days of searching, he found it. A massive cave system deep underground, filled with lava pools and eerie, glowing fungi. It was the perfect lair for his creation. Steve began by clearing out a large chamber in the center of the cave. He used his diamond pickaxe to carve out the space, making sure it was large enough to house the Xenomorph. The walls were lined with obsidian, giving the chamber a dark, foreboding atmosphere. In the center of the room, he placed a crafting table, surrounded by chests filled with materials. The next step was to gather the necessary components. According to the ancient book, the Xenomorph was made up of several key parts: a skeletal frame, a biomechanical exoskeleton, and a living, breathing core. Steve started with the skeletal frame. He used iron bars to create the basic structure, shaping it into a humanoid form with a long, curved tail. The head was the most challenging part, with its elongated, domed shape and rows of sharp teeth. Steve used a combination of iron and netherite to craft the skull, carefully shaping each tooth with his chisel. With the skeleton complete, Steve moved on to the exoskeleton. This was the most intricate part of the process, requiring a delicate touch and a deep understanding of the creature's anatomy. He used black concrete to create the smooth, glossy surface of the exoskeleton, carefully layering it over the iron frame. The tail was particularly difficult with its segmented, armored plates. Steve spent hours shaping each plate, making sure they moved fluidly with the tail. The final step was the living core. This was the heart of the Xenomorph, the part that would give it life. Steve had read about a rare material called Ender Essence, which could only be found in the End dimension. He gathered his gear and set off for the End, battling through hordes of Endermen and Shulkers to reach the elusive Ender Dragon. After a grueling fight, he finally defeated the dragon and collected the Ender Essence from its remains. Back in the cave, Steve placed the Ender Essence in the center of the Xenomorph's chest. He then used redstone and glowstone to create a network of veins and arteries, connecting the core to the rest of the body. As he worked, he could feel a strange energy emanating from the creature, a pulsing, living force that seemed to grow stronger with each passing moment. Finally, the moment of truth arrived. Steve stepped back and surveyed his work. The Xenomorph stood before him, a towering, menacing figure of black and silver. Its eyes glowed with an eerie green light, and its mouth was filled with rows of razor-sharp teeth. Steve felt a mix of awe and fear as he looked at the creature, knowing that he had brought something truly extraordinary into the world. But the Xenomorph was not yet complete. It needed a mind, a consciousness to guide its actions. Steve had prepared for this as well. He had crafted a special item called the Mind Crystal, which would serve as the creature's brain. He placed the crystal in the Xenomorph's head, carefully connecting it to the redstone network. As he did, the creature's eyes flickered, and it let out a low, guttural growl. Steve stepped back, his heart pounding in his chest. The Xenomorph was alive. It moved slowly at first, testing its limbs and tail. Then, with a sudden burst of speed, it lunged forward, its tail whipping through the air. Steve barely had time to react, diving to the side as the creature's tail slammed into the wall, sending chunks of obsidian flying. For a moment, Steve feared that he had made a terrible mistake. But then the xenomorph turned to him, its head tilting slightly as if studying him. It let out a low, rumbling sound, almost like a purr, and then slowly lowered itself to the ground, its tail curling around its body. Steve let out a breath he didn't realize he had been holding. The xenomorph was not a mindless killing machine, it was intelligent, aware. It recognized him as its creator, and it seemed to have a sense of loyalty to him. Steve approached the creature cautiously, reaching out a hand. The xenomorph leaned forward, allowing him to touch its smooth, cool exoskeleton. Over the next few days, Steve and the xenomorph developed a bond. The creature followed him everywhere, its movements silent and graceful. It was a formidable ally, capable of taking down even the strongest of enemies with ease. But it was also surprisingly gentle, showing a level of intelligence and understanding that Steve had not expected. Together, they explored the Minecraft world, uncovering hidden treasures and battling dangerous creatures. The xenomorph's presence was a constant source of awe and fear for the other inhabitants of the world. Villagers would flee at the sight of it, and even the most fearsome mobs would think twice before attacking. But as time went on, Steve began to notice something strange. The xenomorph was growing, evolving. Its exoskeleton became darker, more reflective, and its movements became even more fluid and precise. It seemed to be learning, adapting to its environment in ways that Steve had not anticipated. One night, as they camped in a dense forest, Steve awoke to find the xenomorph gone. He searched the area, calling out for it, but there was no sign of the creature. Just as he was about to give up, he heard a low growl from the shadows. The xenomorph emerged, its eyes glowing brighter than ever. In its mouth, it held a strange, glowing object, a piece of the Ender Dragon's egg. Steve realized that the xenomorph had been drawn to the egg, sensing its power. It had gone off on its own to retrieve it, showing a level of independence that Steve had not expected. He took the egg from the creature, feeling its warmth in his hands. He knew that this was a sign. The xenomorph was more than just a creation. It was a being with its own desires and instincts. From that day on, Steve and the xenomorph became true partners. They worked together to uncover the secrets of the Minecraft world, facing challenges that neither could have overcome alone. The xenomorph's strength and intelligence complemented Steve's creativity and resourcefulness, making them an unstoppable team. As they stood on the edge of a vast, unexplored canyon, Steve looked at the xenomorph, a sense of pride swelling in his chest. He had set out to build a creature of darkness, a being of unimaginable power. But what he had created was so much more. A companion, a friend, and a testament to the endless possibilities of the Minecraft world. The xenomorph let out a low, rumbling growl, its eyes glowing with a fierce, green light. Steve smiled, knowing that together, they could face anything the world had to offer. And with that, they set off into the unknown, ready to conquer whatever challenges lay ahead.